It's 6:04 a.m. You're standing in front of the bathroom mirror. There's a cold cup of coffee on the sink, bags under your eyes, and in your mind the same thought loops back again. Here we go, another miserable day. You sigh, you scroll, you delay, and deep down, something in you whispers, this isn't how life was supposed to feel. Most people think they're stuck because of their circumstances, their boss, their partner, their job. But the truth is more subtle and far more dangerous. You're not trapped by the world. You're trapped by the sentences you repeat to yourself every single day. I can't do this. I never get a break. People are the worst. These aren't just passing complaints. They're habits of thought, and over time, they become the soundtrack of surrender. Complaining may feel harmless, but it's the slowest form of giving up. A way to release steam without building momentum. A way to feel like you're doing something while doing nothing. We live in a culture that rewards venting. Online, the more you complain, the more sympathy you might get. The algorithm even favors frustration because it keeps people scrolling, sharing, arguing. I hate Mondays. This system is broken. No one listens anymore. The world nods in agreement. But here's the problem. Sympathy is not change. Likes are not progress. And retweets are not action. We confuse expression with transformation. We believe that if we get it off our chest, we'll feel better. And maybe, for a moment, we do. But the same patterns return the next morning. Stoicism, the ancient philosophy of strength, reason, and dignity, teaches us something different. It doesn't forbid frustration. It doesn't ask you to pretend everything is okay. But it does demand this one question. After you've complained, what will you do? Epictetus, once a slave who became one of the most respected Stoic teachers, said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." To a Stoic, complaining is wasted breath. Not because it's weak, but because it changes nothing. The Stoic path is the path of control, and there is one thing always within your control: your next action. Seneca warned, "The more we indulge our complaints, the greater our capacity for pain." In other words, every time you choose to complain instead of act, you build a habit of helplessness. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, wrote to himself, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." Even he, a philosopher, emperor, reminded himself daily not to exaggerate hardship through thought. Pain is real, but our suffering often begins in our interpretation of pain. The Stoics don't suppress reality, they just don't give it more power than it deserves. To complain is to give your power away, to say, "I'm at the mercy of this thing." But to take action, even the smallest step, is to reclaim authorship over your experience. So what do we do when we find ourselves stuck in the loop, frustrated, powerless, spiraling into the same storylines? What do we do when life feels overwhelming and nothing seems to change? The Stoics offer a path not in words, but in discipline, a practical grounded shift from noise to movement. And it begins with just 3 steps. The first step is awareness, catching yourself in the act of complaining. Most of the time, our negative thoughts pass through unfiltered. This is unfair. Why me? People are so stupid. We don't even notice we're saying them out loud or in our minds. The Stoic shift begins with observation, not judgment. Pause the loop. Interrupt the autopilot. Ask yourself, am I describing reality or avoiding responsibility? When you say, "I'm tired of this job," what are you really expressing? That you need a change, that you feel undervalued, that your values no longer align? Good, now we're getting somewhere. The key is not to suppress the complaint, but to decode it, to translate emotion into intention. This leads us to the second step, Translation: turn every complaint into a call to action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. If it's not, then stop complaining." This isn't cold indifference, it's fierce clarity. The Stoics believed every emotion points somewhere. Anger shows us what we care about. Frustration reveals our unmet expectations. The trick is not to stay in the emotion, but to use it as a compass. So take the complaint and reframe it. "No one listens to me" becomes, "I need to communicate more clearly." "I never have time" becomes, "I'm not protecting my time. Everything is out of control" becomes, "What is still within my control right now?" This shift might seem small, but it's everything. Because now, the story changes. You're not a victim anymore. You're a participant. You're choosing. And the final step is movement. You don't need to change everything. You just need to do one thing differently today. The Stoics emphasized immediate action, not grand planning. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Don't wait for perfect motivation. Don't wait for the pain to go away. Start. Start small. Send the email. Set the boundary. Go for the walk. Write the plan. Take 5 minutes to unclutter your desk, your inbox, or your mind. Even the tiniest act, if rooted in clarity, is a declaration. I'm no longer just reacting, I'm responding. This three-part Stoic shift: awareness, translation, and action is how you reclaim your energy, how you stop leaking your strength through words and start building something with it. Let me tell you a true story. There was a man named Alex. For years, he complained about everything: his job, his boss, the city he lived in, even the people he dated. To anyone listening, it sounded like venting. But inside, Alex was slowly dissolving. His identity was wrapped in resentment. He was always 1 inch from snapping, always waiting for someone to fix it for him. One night, after another long rant to a friend, that friend gave him a challenge. Write down every complaint you've made in the last 24 hours. Then, next to each one, write one thing you could do instead of complaining. Alex laughed it off. But later that night, he tried it. The list shocked him. He had written down 16 complaints about the weather, traffic, money, work, his phone, even his dog. And, next to each, a small action. Wake up earlier. Apply to one new job. Walk without headphones. Spend an hour off social media. None of them were dramatic, but each one was honest. For the next 90 days, Alex did one thing every day. Just one. And no, life didn't magically become perfect. But something fundamental shifted. He began to see that the power he kept giving away through blame, through sarcasm, through passivity, had always been his to take back. The world didn't change. He did. Complaining is easy. It asks nothing of you. It gives you a moment of validation but robs you of momentum. Action, on the other hand, is hard, but it's sacred. It builds resilience, clarity, and character. The Stoics knew that the greatest transformation doesn't happen in perfect conditions. It happens the moment you stop asking the world to be easier and start asking yourself to be stronger. So here's your challenge for the next 24 hours. Write down 3 complaints you catch yourself saying. It could be about work, your body, your relationships, anything. Then next to each one, write a small action you could take instead. And do at least one of them. That's it. No need to change your whole life. Just break the loop. Once. Because the truth is, your life doesn't need more venting. It needs your presence. It needs your participation. It needs your power. If this message stirred something in you, if you're tired of hearing yourself repeat the same frustrations, comment below. I choose action. And if you're on a journey to build inner strength, quiet confidence, and real clarity, subscribe. because each week we're not just talking philosophy, we're forging it. Stillness is strength. Let's move forward without excuses.